Welcome back to Corner Stories. Today we have a two-story video. The first story comes with content warning, so if you want to skip this story please go right ahead. Ada for being cold to my ex-in-laws when they want to see my son? Warning, incident involving a child. I, 41F, have an issue with my ex-in-laws. When my son, 13, was 5 there was an incident with his cousin, 20M, who was 13 at the time of the issue. I'm not going into specifics, but I did press charges, and the police and a protective order were involved. My son and I just moved back from a different state, so his grandparents wanted to spend time with him and I would never keep him from them until now. The issue came about in October. His father was here for fall break and they stayed with the grandparents. It was Grandpa's birthday and they were having a dinner. They wanted all their grandkids at the dinner. Instead of talking to my ex and I about it, they talked to my son, and the gist of the conversation was as follows. Grandma, your cousin will be at Grandpa's dinner, I'm sure you don't remember what happened with him. My son, no, I remember. Grandma, it was a long time ago and your grandpa would be really happy if everyone was together for the dinner. Is that okay? My son, okay. My son told me later, not even his dad told me, that was a whole other thing that I handled. My son was made to feel guilty and then made to have dinner with someone who victimized him when he was little. He said he was uncomfortable the whole time. I was livid. I yelled at his grandmother and will not allow my son to stay with them at all now. His dad is coming for Christmas and I made him get an Airbnb while he has my son. I got a new protective order against the cousin and let everyone know. My son still loves his grandparents and is ready to forgive them, but I'm just not. I allowed them to get him for dinner and shopping last night. His grandmother tried to talk to me and I was super short and cold to her. I made them wait outside cause I didn't want them in my house. Am I the A for not letting it go? Some relevant comments. When it comes to victims of childhood abuse, I wouldn't say it's petty to respond in such a manner. The fact the grandparents used guilt to bring OP's kid back in contact with their abuser is absolutely disgusting and likely set them back in their therapy. You're a much bigger person than I am. I would never allow them to see him ever again after pulling that stunt. They shouldn't be allowed to see him anymore. They forced him to have dinner with his abuser. They obviously have no regard for his safety or well-being. That is all we have of that story. Let me know in the comments if OP responded appropriately. Would you allow the grandparents around your child? And with that we will move on to the next story. Am I the A for moving out because I want to keep my pregnancy? So I'm 22 and recently found out I was pregnant. The father and I haven't been together long, only 5 months, but I've told him about it and we had some space to think about what we both want. I currently live with my parents and I finished my degree last year. I'm living with them now whilst saving for a house. I pay market rent for a room and pay towards utilities etc. about $1, $200. When I told my parents they were furious with me and said I was ruining my life if I didn't fix it, and that they were ashamed I could be so irresponsible. They had me when mom was 36 and dad 40, and my younger sister at 40 and 44, so I knew they wouldn't like that I was a lot younger. It isn't like I wasn't careful. I was on the pill but took a 3-week course of antibiotics that I think was the window. I know it was irresponsible of me not to read the leaflet inside, but what's done is done. The thing is, I want this baby. I know that terminating isn't something I'd cope with very well. I don't have this bright-eyed and bushy-tailed idea of what parenting is, so don't think I do. I know it's going to be hard and stressful in many ways, and that I'll have to make sacrifices, but the idea of not seeing this through terrifies me more. I told my parents that I wanted to continue the pregnancy, and if my boyfriend leaves me because of it, so be it. They again rampaged at me and told me that I will be getting a termination or I'm leaving. My mother said that, of all people. It was difficult, but I told them that they'd made the decision for me so I'd start packing my things. They thought I was bluffing, but I wasn't in the slightest. I contacted my baby's father and asked to stay there until I got my own place and that I expected nothing more from him if he didn't want it. He's a really great guy and let me stay, no questions asked, and even discussed when he could hire a bigger car for my stuff. He came over to help me pack, despite me warning him not to because of my parents' anger. They didn't scream at him as much as I thought because they were too pissed off with me that I was actually leaving. My mother said how could I choose a fetus over my own family. My father was a lot calmer and said how they needed my rent money etc. because they'd remortgaged the house. I told them that they could choose between me staying and going, and they knew what either choice would entail. Dad softened at it, but my mother just stormed out calling me a stupid selfish little girl. After that my boyfriend and I had a bit more of a conversation about it and he said that we could just live together and see how we both dealt with everything and see how it goes. He was very supportive of it all and I kept reminding him that it was my mistake that caused this, so I didn't expect anything from him going forward, but he just calmed me down and said we'd work everything out. I genuinely don't know what to do. I want to be a mother now that this is all happening, but everyone seems to be against me aside from my boyfriend. Everyone keeps on telling me how stressed out I'll be and how life-altering it'll be and how stupid I am, but I already know. Everyone is pressuring me to I put it right, and I don't want to make my parents struggle financially. But the idea of doing what everyone is forcing me to do, to stay with my parents, is worse than the horrors they're warning me about. I'm not asking if I'm an asshole for keeping my child, whether people think I am or not is unimportant to me, but am I one for going against my parents and making them struggle financially? They sacrificed a lot for me and raised me for 22 years and I'm being made to feel like I'm abandoning them. Edit, I have savings, I work from home, I'm able to support myself financially. Some people didn't read the part where my partner wasn't even my plan A. One mistake doesn't make me an idiot, and not all young parents need your advice that I for one didn't ask for. I'll be as sassy as I like to people who are incapable of reading the post they feel like they need to comment on just because they feel they know me more than I know myself, let alone the situation I find myself in. If you can't answer my question, don't. Relevant comments, it's your choice. You know what? No matter what you choose, there are always problems. What is more important is that you make the decision, not by force. Wish you the best. Exactly. Also, your parents didn't do you a favor by raising you. They made the decision to have you, just like you are deciding to have your kid, and that comes with obligations. Children don't own their parents anything. I wish you the best, for you and your family. May your child enjoy of lots of health and lots of love. I hope OP doesn't ever let her child near her parents. These people sound awful. And with that we will end our stories today. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to connect with each other in the comments below. Until next time, be kind, be curious, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, Corner Stories signing off.